I'm going to be showing you basic tools needed to start sewing, whether you'd like to hand sew simple rips or construct or reconstruct clothing on a sewing machine. Let's start with the needles. There are two types of needles I keep on hand sewing needles and sewing machine needles. Hand sewing needles have a little tiny hole right on the top of the needle where the thread goes through, and sewing machine needles have that little tiny hole towards the point of the needle. When you're purchasing sewing machine needles, it's great to start off with a universal needle. You'll also need thread, and I like purchasing spools like this one because they fit right on the thread holder of my sewing machine. If you're planning to do a lot of hand sewing, I recommend a thimble. And this one is a little less traditional. It has like a gel comfort grip. And this is great if you're going to be sewing stiff or bulky fabrics. You'll also need a pair of scissors. And I like to keep scissors that are just to cut my fabric, because if you're cutting something like paper, they'll dull your scissors. So it's great to just keep one just for fabric. I also like to keep a smaller pair of scissors, like these embroidery scissors. They're great for cutting small areas and clipping your threads on your sewing machine. You'll also need, just in case you make a mistake, to rip out your seams, a seam ripper. And if you don't have a seam ripper, you can always use a craft knife. You'll also need a marking tool. This is a water-soluble pencil, or you can use tailor's chalk. But if you have regular chalk, that's absolutely fine. You'll also need a measuring tool. This is a sewing gauge, and this helps with all your small measurements. And for your larger measurements, you can use a measuring tape, and this is great to measure your fabric, if you're going to take your own measurements or others. And you'll also need some straight pins to hold your fabric together. And this is great because it has a colored point when you're removing these pins when you're sewing along. Another great tool to keep on hand when you're using your sewing machine is the manual. This is a great reference guide when you'd like to see the location of your key parts, any safety precautions, and any features your sewing machine has. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be posting more videos on how to use these tools and techniques to get you started sewing. I'll see you next time.